Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome to Second Breakfast Friday edition. Hope you guys are doing okay out there, getting ready for the weekend. It's been a busy week, hasn't it? Oh my goodness, got a lot done. House is coming together, getting some minis painted, made some videos. Went to church last night. That was uh, an interesting service. Um, so, how are you guys doing out there? Let's see if we got anybody in chat. So right now I'm working on this little guy. It's a 3D printed ATV of sorts. I keep wanting to think this is the front. This looks so much more like the front, but this is the front. It's got this weird boxy, gigantic freaking windscreen that I'm getting ready to paint a metallic blue. I've also been working on this crane, trying to make it look, industrial. I think it needs more yellow or maybe some black diagonal stripes. What do you guys think? Hey, what's up, Off Grid? Ready for tonight? Yeah, there was no. I didn't have a game all week. Monday was not graduation, award ceremony. Tuesday it was Bloodworth's birthday. Wednesday always have off. Thursday had church, so I had to cancel on the Dead Rain game that Nerdy Ogre's running. And well, hopefully tonight we'll be playing some Savage Swords. I noticed a lot of people have been picking up on that lately. Double D did a video on it, and the Red Room did a video on it. It's their game, so obviously. And rest assured, my module will be out soon. Just with the water pipe issue that really put a damper on things. Hey George, how you doing? Uh, but it's April. It's a new month. Hopefully, be able to get back to writing after the shows. That's the plan. Is every morning after I do this show, I'll go and write for an hour or two and get those things done. I'm still waiting on some character sheets from my players in that game. Hint, hint. So I can put them in as the pre-gens. That's kind of almost the only thing I'm really waiting on. Then Miguel and I will go through it and see what needs to be fixed, and then it'll go over to Lulu and Amazon and wherever else Miguel wants to put it up for sale, I guess. So you guys got any big plans for the weekend? My only plan is In-N-Out Burger tonight and OG GM's every other Saturday game. Hopefully I won't fall asleep this time. I've just been pushing myself too hard on Saturdays. So I've been falling asleep in his game. I love his game, but I just, Saturdays are our only day to go and get stuff done outside the house, shopping and things like that. And sometimes we try to push just a little bit too many activities before it's game time, which is like 1 o'clock on his show. So that only gives us, about 4 hours to try and do all the different little things that we've got planned for that weekend. And then church on Sunday, which it's only an hour, but because we get up so early, just about everybody goes back to bed after a huge breakfast, which is probably Probably not healthy. And then the day is shot. I made a floor plan for a haunted mansion. That is right. I saw that. That was really cool. The kids are going to love that. I actually, one of my favorite dungeons I ran was the equivalent of a haunted house. I used Teagle Manor, and believe it or not, it was it was kind of weird because it was essentially it was like a portable hole that had a secret door inside the portable hole that led to Teagle Manor. So that when you scooped up the portable hole cloth, you know how it's a piece of cloth, you could take the house with you. But they had to clear all of it before they could call it their own. And that adventure lasted like 6 months or more. And we played every day, me and my friends that were involved in that. And they finally got to keep the house and turn it into their home away from home. And it was a lot of fun. I put a lot of work into it. And I don't even know if I still have it, but it was one of those adventures that just you never forget those kind of adventures. I think it's especially because of our age. We were all uh, still in high school. Glad to hear it, Mike. Looking forward to it. Like I said, hopefully I won't fall asleep. Hopefully a couple of you guys will jump in, so I'm not just babbling to myself. Uh, it's a lot harder than it looks. You know, when I do the 10, 20-minute videos, I usually have a topic. I suppose I could ramble on a little bit about that topic, which is player paranoia. Just you old guys, man, you're the worst. I swear to God. You've seen it all. You've done it all. You think you know it all. And worse, you think your characters know it all, and they don't. They really shouldn't use your player knowledge. I know it's hard. I'm just as guilty as anybody else, maybe even more so. It's kind of why I brought it up. But not everything's out there to kill you and eat you. And we kind of forget that in our desire to not get killed. See who's joining us. It is Mike. How you doing, Mike?
Hello.
How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You're
I had messed with my mic lately yesterday, so
okay.
I didn't know if it was too loud,
No,
too
it's all
quiet.
good. It's all good. You're doing fine. Can hear you
You're
clear.
talking about old guys are the worst. I mean, it's true. I'm not arguing.
Yeah, yeah. It is absolutely 100% true. We've done it all. We've seen it all. We're not going to let any stinking DM pull the wool over our eyes and trick us and get us to touch the mimic and all that. You know, but that, sometimes that destroys and defeats the very thing we're looking for, which is that sort of nostalgic feel of what it was like back in the day. Well, back in the day, we didn't know a damn thing, so all the tricks and traps and surprises got us, and that was where the fun was.
Yeah.
There's no
Well,
fun when you just oh figured it out instantly. Oh, you know, right?
one, I hate stupid gotcha traps or grim tooth nonsense traps. I
Thank
just
you. I'm doing my
not my
first
thing.
video this week. My first video next week will be that video. Uh, Nobody did that in history. There were the percentage
Well,
of tombs that actually had traps like that is ridiculously small compared to what we've blown it up to. Where I have been in dungeons where every door was trapped. I've been in dungeons where every floor had something. And it's just like, how do you build a place like that?
not
Why
only
would
are
you
they
build a place like
trapped,
that?
you have roaming patrols, roaming skeletons that are mindless, and they don't seem to trip anything.
Yeah, yeah. Someone brought up the other day that you're supposed to roll for every trap. Like only 1 in 6 traps actually still works. Okay, cool. I don't remember that rule, and I certainly don't remember that rule ever being used upon me. Oh, it was a trap, but it doesn't work. You found it, but it's been rusted, corroded. The ropes and pulleys are all broken. Good on you. You found the broken trap. Never, not one time have I ever encountered that rule.
So yeah, neither have I. Even if it's in the book, I don't remember it. But maybe is that like the save for like when a low level thief fails and then it's like, well, let's roll to see if it actually was a real trap.
No, I think you're supposed to roll prior to that. That was the gist I got.
Mm.
Either way, it's I've never
It
come
burns
across a
time.
trap. Never come across a trap that had already been, sprung. Or I mean, actually, I have come across traps that have been sprung, but those were used to inform the party that there's more traps to come, which is cool. But at the same time, why so damn many traps? The only place there should be traps are on king's vaults or vaults and chests. Everything else, if it's guarding like the big treasure, every door and cabinet and floor would not be trapped. How do you walk around in a place like that?
And half of it should be tells ahead of time, where the scuffed on the floor, dust, whatever should you shouldn't have to
Yeah,
have a rogue go, oh look, there's drag marks on the floor where the door was slid or there's blood on the floor.
right.
And you shouldn't that's another thing that gets me, the perception checks of modern games. It's like I can see it. Just tell me, don't hide it. You walk in a room, make a perception check to find a chair. No, stop.
Oh, I don't, nor have I ever used anything like perception checks except the secret door elf rule, and I roll that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, hey, you noticed something, or occasionally I'll have my players roll a d6 to see if they notice something that they couldn't possibly be looking for.
Right,
Like flyers.
right.
It's like a lot of times I'll just say, oh, hey, roll a d6. Oh, hey, you notice off on the horizon or off in the distance a thing. Because they're never going to look for that, and it's kind of my way of just you know seeding the moment with something ominous
Well,
about to come.
I notice how you do it. You don't like say it's a one on a d6. You just have it matched. I've done something similar where I use a d6 or d10. You roll it, and if a player rolls their dice and with it right on it, or if they're within two, depending on the difficulty, you just say they see it. That way they don't
Well,
know where they failed.
Well, see, I learned a long time ago online, players cheat, and they know that it's a. If I tell them roll a d6, they'll be like one, one. I
Right.
was literally in a game I was running, and everybody rolled a one on the d6. I'm like, that's
No.
not possible. And the only way to fix that is to change it, and they don't know what the number is, And sometimes it'll be like a four, and they're like, huh, yeah, you
No.
saw it. Okay, you're not using one or six. Yeah, it's the same odds. I'm just mixing it up. So certain people who will remain nameless uh, have learned that, just be honest, because I'm already a couple of steps ahead of that nonsense.
Well, it makes it more fun that way if you're not sure, like I don't know. I don't see the point of cheating in a game, but
It literally takes the fun out of the failure, which is what we all grew up on. It was the fails, those things that created something completely random and unexpected. Uh, OG says, I prefer rulings over rollings. A fast mind beats the roll every time. Keep the game moving. Exactly. Again, to the what I was talking about this morning. If your routine is listen, check, blah blah blah. All these things at every single freaking door. I'm just going to do it myself for you and tell you this. There's nothing, and more than likely you're wasting your time because in the early levels, this is mostly early levels because later on, as a DM, we've got to pull out those traps. When you're running like a 7 to 12 level party, the monsters aren't going to cut it. You need some traps to whittle them down. You know, uh, just to play that
yeah.
resource management part of the game.
Or you can just establish it, like have that the thief's gonna listen to every door, you know, he's gonna, like check the lock, a certain way before he goes and opens everything.
Hmm.
You can just agree to do things like that and move on. I mean, like especially because I watched the video that you had this morning and it was like, especially if you're time, we don't got 6 8 hours. We got
No,
3 hours,
we
and then people got to go pick kids up or run an errand or go to bed.
or not even that. It's just the scheduled time is 3 hours, and when you done your highs and buys and you cut that out of the equation, there's a half hour or more. I mean, I've had my Sunday games where I'm in the studio at 4:30, and we don't start get playing until 6 because people are coming in at different times, and you can't really get the game moving until you have a majority of the players. If you got six
Yeah,
players, you got to have four to play. Unless you're only going to have two or three, and you say, "Screw it, we're going to play anyways." Those people who are not here miss out, which I've done. I've run a couple of games recently with just two players. Like we only have four, so we're just going to do it, and they miss out. Sorry, but it's too easy for games to fall apart these days. Also, and one of the reasons they fall apart is it's not worth the time. They won't say that, but it's like, yeah, we're doing one combat a game, and we're there for 3 hours. I can get a lot more done, playing a video game, cleaning a house, watching a movie. I get more out of it than, one random wandering monster encounter or planned encounter. And up, it's that time, folks. See you next week. What? Next week? We should be playing tomorrow. Those
well,
days are gone
if
for
it's
most of
if
us.
you're role playing actually in character, or exploring, or avoiding the fights that are going to waste your resources, that can still be fun. But if it's just effing around, it, counting, I mean, counting, I don't know how many bullets you have left, or just minutia that doesn't really matter, then it's going to be all right. Well, let's, we're doing spreadsheets.
Hmm. Well, I am a stickler for uh, keeping track of your stuff.
Yeah,
Your
but
arrows.
I'm just talking about like if you're transporting things, or if you're like whatever. It's like, oh, how many bolts of wool did we bring? I don't know, 1,000 gold pieces worth. It's just,
Mhm.
and then they're like, well, could we use it and like spin our own clothes and then make more money? It's like that's not adventuring.
Yeah, well, sometimes.
It could be. So it depends, but if it takes a half a game to do it, it's
Mhm.
you're
Yeah,
doing the
yeah.
reverse of a
I've had
shopping
some
trip.
games lately where the players, made some errors along the way, and
Oh,
erring on the side of caution. That that's that's a good and a bad thing. When you're high level, it's sometimes crucial. When you're low level, the fan's on. Maybe it's on the lower setting because I didn't adjust it from the video from last night. When I do my solo videos, I got to turn the fan down. Otherwise, the device I use really picks it up.
hmm.
And I had way too many complaints on that.
Oh.
But thanks for noticing. I appreciate that. I'm not getting my +2 charisma bonus, but it's okay. When you already have a 17, naturally, the +2 is really just overkill. Which is weird too, because like, um, I got picked for my church to be one of the recipients of the foot washing on Thursday. I don't know if you're familiar with that, guys, but it took me by like absolute complete surprise. One, that they do that, and two, that out of a building full of like 500 people, they picked this guy. You know, it was really, really. I didn't know, what to think. Is like, could they smell me or something? I know that wasn't it, but it's like,
Maybe your family nominated you for the.
right, or maybe they just notice, hey, there's a long hair in the group, get that guy, or something. But no,
Make
it
you feel
was
included.
More than likely, what I think it is since I'm a new guy, I've only been going
Yeah.
there. It's like, hey, get the new people because I noticed some other people who received that honor as well, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really know you, because I do try to look around and remember the people's faces in case I bump into them outside that, which I actually have. What's off grid saying here? Fewer players are better, in my opinion. I prefer three hardcore players, each running a couple of characters. Yeah, that's a good uh, thing I should talk about. I measure RPGs by the same stick I measure computer games I play. Maybe out of the entire congregation, you look the most like the fella on the cross. Yeah, I definitely probably got that, but it was weird too because, um, like I said, I'm new to my church, and uh, as we're waiting because they pulled us early to show us, the little choreographed thing, they said, "Anybody want to do confession?" I'm like, "Oh, heck yeah! I've never done confession," so I sort of sneaked in, got my first confession without having to do a bunch of the things, you know, and that was kind of weird. So now I could do take the communion, which I've also never done or not. I think I did it when I was a teenager, going to a different church. But anyways, um, the playing multiple characters. What do you think of that?
It kind of depends. I mean, um, right now for the little home game I play with Jen, she plays two characters, and then I also make her manage the henchman people she hired and brought along because
Sure.
I don't want to mess with it. And it's worked out in the past. It's been hit or miss.
What's up, Death Angels? Saw you guys last night. I think it was last night or was it Wednesday? Good show. Here's the thing. In the old days, I insisted on it for more than two reasons. I was going to say two reasons. One, you've always got a buddy, and therefore, if you're not making a healer as one of those characters, you're retarded. That way, you can't complain about anything. You've got a healer. Manage your healer so that the healer can keep the other guy and the healer alive and help out anywhere else necessary. And it gives you, you know, for the most part, a much better chance on the undead turning thing because you got four players, four characters, two characters each. You're going to have at least two clerics, so you got two turns. Two characters who can turn the undead, which I think is awesome because I like to run undead. But if there's no clerics, there's no undead. It's just that's you know it,
Well,
why.
unless you say this is, you know, Assault of the Lich Lord or something that like, and they choose to make characters and ignore your telling them what the game is about,
Yeah.
then their next character can be a cleric. I mean,
The other thing is is
but,
is you you sort of fill all those spots. You got the four food groups,
mhm.
and it leaves you uh, room to play like the extras, like the rangers, the druids, the monk, things like that that you wouldn't normally get to play. And like I said, with the buddy system, you've always got someone to watch your back. So the paranoia level can be turned down, and also as off grid can attest to. Um, I'm a big proponent of the romance. There should be that element in the game. It's incredibly weird and uncomfortable for it to happen when you got a bunch of dudes playing. You know what I mean? It's never going to happen, and that's kind of why it was almost done in Tolkien because he didn't know how to handle it. But like off grid, he ran two characters, male, one female. Guess who's hooking up, right? That problem is solved. Not only is that problem solved, but it opens up the pathway for real life story kind of things that would happen. His characters in my game are now with child, getting ready to have a baby, twins actually. Of course, they always want twins, right? Um, and now they can do those family things, no weirdness. They got their all their stuff covered, and they can actually prepare for generational gaming. Whereas everybody else is like, nah, I don't want to do that. Nah. Okay, so your character or characters are completely devoid of the desire to ever hook up with anyone ever, because you're not going to play the bard and try to hook up with the NPCs, because that's actually kind of weird too. Uncomfortable it can be.
Mm,
Trust me, as a DM, it's insanely uncomfortable.
mm.
On my end, it's like, I no, they all say no, you're ugly and smelly, go away. Um, you know, or you could do it obviously. Yeah, yeah. The slovenly troll comes up to you, takes your money, and takes you upstairs. The end. You know,
I've ran quite a fair share of games where it's like fade to black. We're done.
right, but it should be there. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
it's unnatural for it to not be there, but it's unnatural to have to try to role play. So if you've got two characters, it's baked in. Brian, when he was in my game, he had two characters that were already hooked up as well, and,
Brian
and
Weird
it worked.
War.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
one.
yeah,
Okay.
and it worked out great. They're gonna do their thing, and it also gives them excuses to not try to be clever when it's downtime. What are you doing? None of your damn business, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, uh,
Perfect. Cool. Cool.
especially like in I mean, I get if you're just delving the dungeon, there might not be time for that. But if you're playing a more bigger adventure, like isn't your game on a ship?
Yeah.
You you're out and doing stuff. I mean, but like I ran modern games, I've ran Vampire, and so there was a time where players tried to out weird each other, and I was just like, they all
Yeah.
wanted romance. They're all just in these, yeah. So I'm just like, come on, guys. But it was
You
over
know,
the top because they wanted it. They were playing the I'm going to describe stuff to the point it makes everybody go stop.
yeah, exactly, Oscar. We you just fade to black, but
Yeah.
it's like this in the real world, in the real life. Like me, just looking at my life, or people I hung out with in the real world, for a portion of a man's life, that is his number one goal.
Mhm.
Period. To say otherwise, you're talking about the exception among the exceptions, the percent of a percent that are just not. That's not their thing. They're not worried about that. They're too focused. Shut up. It's you don't have a choice. Don't make me freaking effectively cast a charm spell on you or put you on a quest. And take away your agency. Just play it real. At some point your character's gonna want to do what we do, and it opens up the game for generational play that allows for even more actual realism. The idea that these hobos go from town to town to town across your world, never settling down, just looking for the next group of monsters whose treasure they can steal and somehow magically carry all that loot. Apparently, it's all been converted to gems. It's in their bag of holding, all tied up neatly, and they're walking around with 750,000 in gold in gems, and it's never going to ever fall into the wrong hands. They're never going to lose it. They're just saving it up for nothing, or when they finally someday maybe kind of find a magic item shop, they could buy that Vorpal's sword with the 50 grand they just had socked away. No, no, you buy a home. Everybody buys a home, or a piece of land, or something. The idea that there would be banks that could handle that kind of money that wouldn't charge you. Lots of countries actually charge you to put money in their bank. There's no interest. You are the interest. You are paying the interest. If you don't come back, and settle your stuff, you'll come back to nothing, and you'll owe them money.
Hmm.
I don't know how you could owe them money when they've taken your last coin as a payment for the fee, but somehow you'll owe them money. It's
Yeah,
funny.
and that also adds fun to the next time you roll up characters when you're like, this is 50 years in the future or something, and then I mean, you got the descendants, or you let somebody else play their descendants.
Yeah, that I find
It
that's
sometimes
a
takes a
better
lot of
way to.
trust. If you're
And,
somebody else is
and
playing somebody
definitely,
else's,
definitely,
yeah.
George, make the home a money pit. You bought a piece of land, but little did you know there's a white factory or Indian burial grounds underneath your land, and now you've got a quest built into your home. I just talked about the portable home. It was full. I mean, it was 4 levels of Teagle Manor plus 3 levels underground that I added. Teagle Manor is a huge map full of monsters. Every freaking room had something in it. And Teagle Manor, it's like
I
four
picked up
sheets.
the Frog God when they reprinted it just because I was like interested in it because an old school thing, and I was like
It's huge. It is
a mega
huge.
dungeon.
It is a mega dungeon. Then you throw the underground to, like I did, 4 levels of underground, and each level was 4 pages. So that was well over 16 pages of crammed full of monster greatness. But yeah, then you can start building as players your own mega dungeon. And you fill it. So now every time you encounter monsters, you're like charm monster, or quest.
Yeah.
Your quest is to protect my mega dungeon from all intruders.
Well, I like doing the king or lord that basically gives you that when you ready to settle down is like, all right, you kind of like a or agent that goes, I got a great little keep on the Borderlands for you. All you got to do is make sure this, and you swear fealty, and so it's ramshackled, run down, but it's yours.
And lo and behold, there's a dungeon underneath it or nearby to keep you busy
Or
and
some
all that.
other warlord has already taken it over and is like, whoa, wait.
Uh huh. Yeah. Yeah. Or any number of things that could then lead to domain play and generational play. And I like the idea of making other people run your kids instead of you. That way, you play more as a father because I've had this discussion before. Okay, I had let's just say I've got a 20th level fighter. He's retired. He's got kids. He's got a vault full of treasure and a whole bunch of magic items in his vault from back in the day when he was an adventurer. Lo and behold, son's 18, wants to go off and be an adventurer. You're going to tell me that 20th level character is going to go, well, son, here, take my +4 plate mail and my +3 Vorpal sword and then all this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got a bag of potions of healing for you because I don't want my son to go off and get killed, do I? No, you absolutely wouldn't. I mean, how many dads go, hey, son, don't forget to take your rifle if you're going out hiking. It's the same freaking thing. Be careful, be safe, come back with some good stories, and most importantly, come back.
Yeah,
Right?
handing that stuff down is kind of a point of pride.
And you've earned the right to do so. And no DM has ever come up at me with a reason why not to do it other than I don't want first level characters running around with blah, 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 blah. So you can't handle it, is what you're saying. You're telling me there's something you can't handle, then you
Well,
shouldn't be a DM. There's
that's
nothing I've ever come across in the way of a player character. You could literally come to me and say, I want to run Jesus Christ. I'm like, okay, that's a challenge. Let's do it. Or I want to play Thor. Okay, cool. You're Thor. Let's go. There's nothing. I've run it all, and at the very least, you'd always just add zeros to the monsters to make them tougher. If you think they're gonna just breeze through everything, and if they breeze through your first level adventures, so what?
well,
It's not taking anything away from you. You're not hiring the skeletons with your own money. You're just making shit up. Make some more shit up, right? You're
yeah.
not paying by the
Well,
laser.
if you're making the game be that generational game, then yeah, the hand-me-down stuff should be there.
And other than throwing off the balance, well, first off, fuck you for bringing in the word balance because there should be no such thing. There was never any real balance except when you went into a dungeon that said it's a first level dungeon. You're bringing in first level characters. Well, what about years later? I've got this 10th level fighter who wants to go back to the keep on the Borderlands and go run through the caves chaos and see if there's anything there. Well, it's a first level dungeon, so I'm going there. Okay, you get there and it's full of kobolds and goblins. Okay, I kill them 10 at a time,
Yeah, it's kind
and
of
I'm
like a
not
video
rolling it.
game. It's kind of like a video game where you got yourself powered up, and then you just go into the first level and plow everything down.
It's not for you to say as a DM. That's what
Yeah,
they
let
want to
them.
do. They go do it. There are consequences. There are challenges. There may be things that that moved in. Oh yeah, the caves of chaos are now occupied by a platinum dragon and 4,000 freaking diva and a Medusa that just so happens to be a 20th level evil cleric. Okay, cool. You make that shit up? I just made that up out of freaking whole cloth, just random shit. You should be able to do the same thing as a GM. Maybe in the beginning it's hard to learn how to wing it and make shit up, but after a while it gets easier, and after a longer while, it becomes ridiculously easy, and you can't stop doing it. And you end up doing shows like this so you can talk about it because you don't have enough
Well,
players and hours in the day
yeah.
to keep making shit up that you can't actually turn that spigot off.
Somebody comment about Frog God. I know some people left the company to form their own little companies, but
I
I don't
I, I
know anything about
honestly, uh,
it. I know they're doing their own freaking old school clone game because everybody has to do that for some reason. But besides that, I don't know. I haven't
yeah,
followed.
exactly off grid. I look forward to that because it gives your world even more real life feeling. It's not just the hobos going from town to town looking for things to kill and people's stuff to take. Don't forget your CCW. Absolutely not. Uh, sure. Yeah, I follow that rule to the letter every time I go outside. I would never break the law. Um, but yeah, it makes for a more robust world. With what happened to your camera? You're fuzzy.
I know. It focuses on my hand.
Let's put your face closer. There
There.
you go.
No one wants to see any closer. So no.
Right. But I mean, and it brings even more uh,
Well,
suspense when the kid, like say your son character or daughter, is in danger. You're like, oh no, so much more is riding on this. You know, if something bad happens to one of your children as characters, they get taken prisoner, or God forbid, they get killed. Then the whole army rises up and comes in, and you know,
have you ever got to do that? Have you ever got to well, probably not, but have you got to play in a game with your son and have him be your son character?
no, no.
Neither have I with any of mine.
I was close. I was close. But because he and I were playing, just him and I was teaching him how to play D&D, and I was about ready to hand one of his characters, but he was too young to handle it. When I was young, I went through Whitefield Mountain, and I got Black Razor, and I didn't return it like you're supposed to, because like who
No
would,
one does that.
right?
No.
So I had Black Razor, and then that character gave it to his son, but that character really didn't play that much where he needed it because he was actually a thief. So running around with a broadsword was not his style. As a matter of fact, that character's main weapon of choice was a chaos pistol that was essentially a wand of wonder that every time you fired it, something different came out. But it was sort of a Palladium character because we had transitioned from D&D to Palladium. So he got like multiple shots around. So I had this chart, where every time I fired it, I was like, a beam of flowers, lightning bolt, disintegration ray, freaking ice cold water, stupid shit and crazy shit would come shooting out of the weapon. So he never really used the sword. When he got married, had kids, gave it to his son, and his son then went on to become like really insanely powerful. But then that character also got jacked up and put in suspended animation, so the sword fell to his daughter. And at some point after that, I'm hoping that Jackie will come back to the table, and I'll bequeath him Black Razor that's been through 4 or 5 generations, and we can keep it in the family. Which is why I was so giddy and having a good time in Mike's game when I got the fake Black Racer from that dungeon. I was like, that's okay. I got the real one, but now having a knockoff copy is also kind of cool. That's why I never use it, because I don't want it to get broken, because I know he was in a game where um, I was running a fighter, and every time I rolled a fumble, my bastard sword would snap, break, which doesn't happen. I've got one right here, and even though it's a cheap, knockoff, I could go outside and those concrete lampposts we've
Yeah,
got.
you just
I could go and hit that 100 times. It's not going to snap. It'll bend. It'll get really, really dull, but it will not shatter in a million pieces. But that's what would happen in that other game. And to the point where I was, carrying around a quiver of bastard swords, because it was only a matter of time before another one broke, and so he was making the joke. Every time I rolled a one, somewhere off in the distance, you hear a bastard sword shatter. That was a callback because he was in that game with me, and it was really aggravating. That's why I don't use fumble or crit rules,
that
because
just means 5% of the time your weapons just explode. It's like what?
right, that doesn't happen in the real world. Um, they can bend. They can bend, but you can still fix it. It's never going to be, you know, great again unless you take it to like a dwarf or something. But you can still use the freaking thing. It's still a hunk of metal that you can bash somebody's brains in with. But to have it shatter,
Yeah.
you don't really know how metal works. You No, it was just it was a word that he thought of. He's like, what do I do? He rolled a one. Something bad's got to happen. I would literally rather take the damage myself than,
You just you miss.
or I say sorry, I hit you, Fred. It was an accident.
The I don't know. I'm trying to. I'm almost going back to not liking the crits and fumbles. Just like 20 automatically hits, one automatically misses. Move on.
Yeah,
The whole
but
trying to double damage,
even then,
or I
see
roll
that's
the damage, or you just roll regular damage and I double it or whatever in my head, or give them a bad effect. Go.
But the problem with the one though is if you go back by old AD&D rules, sometimes you needed a negative to hit. If you're running like a 20th level fighter and you're hitting armor class 10, you need a -3 to hit, which means you automatically hit, which means even a 1 would hit. Or, well, okay, I rolled a 1, but I've literally got plus 17 to hit. Why do I miss? I only needed a 7 to hit. I rolled a 1, I've got plus 17. So math doesn't work because it's a 1.
Well, isn't it the opposite way too? If I remember, natural 20 didn't automatically hit in AD&D. There was the thing if you got
Correct.
too good, you had to
Yeah,
So
like if you were a first level cleric going against a armor class -10, like why? But let's just say you needed a 21. Well, you don't have any pluses, you can never hit them.
yeah,
There's a book, I think it's called The Magic Goes Away, and one of the magic items in it is a sword that never misses. That's just a literature, a novel from like almost pre D&D. So you can't handle just some things. Just okay, great. Like in my game, I think it's Cal's character. He can only fail most of his saving throws on a 1. So should I just stop throwing things that he needs to make saving throws at? No. Does that bother me? Does it hurt my feelings? He can never fail. Okay, cool. I'll find other things and ask Omen. I have found other things. Well, you may never fail a saving throw, but if I throw Vorgulis at you and I roll 20s because I threw 78 of them at you, I'm going to roll some 20s, and some of those 20s are going to hit that character. And lo and behold, he just lost 4 permanent hit points. There's stuff I can do, if I'm just trying to do stuff. Instead, I just like create things as they would be based on a certain premise. Okay, a lich lives here. What would be here? Well, okay, he's got some minions. He's got some funky experiments, and then I come up with ideas from there to, and can any of this hurt them? Oh, it can't. Oh well, too bad. Poor Lich, he's going to get smoked. You know,
What level are they in your AD&D game?
between 8 and 13.
Yeah, so they're pretty up there. So they should kind of feel like rock stars.
Exactly, they've earned it after 2 and almost a half years. They've kind of earned the right to be badasses and kick ass. Uh, Omen, that's a whole different. Uh, uh, doesn't get through the armor. I wish if I had a wish, it would have been that from the very beginning, that there would have been some realistic and comprehensive and simple armor rules, not Games Workshop. Roll to hit, roll to wound. Okay, now they get a saving throw versus wait a minute, what? I wounded, but now they get a save versus your wound. What? No, doesn't wound mean I hurt them? Yeah, but they get a save versus that. But I already proved that I did the thing by rolling to wound. Well, but they still get a saving throw. Why? Well, it's more dice to roll, makes it more fun. It makes it stupid. Take out one of the steps. No save or no roll to wound. Yeah, that would be me because I'm retarded and don't know how to turn things on and off. Which is funny because I could have swore the other day I heard one of my smoke alarm beeps, and I would have gone through the roof if that was the case, because I went through and not only replaced all the batteries. That didn't work. I took the main smoke alarm in this room and I covered it in an entire roll of packing tape. That still didn't quiet it. I yanked the smoke alarms, all of them, out of the wall. Turns out there's a mechanism inside the wall that makes them beep, even if there's no smoke alarm in there. Found out that what I needed was brand new smoke alarms, and then went and bought like a dozen brand new smoke alarms to put one in all the places here, and that you know quieted those jokes and that noise down, which was funny because like my son and my wife, they never heard the beep. They're completely immune to the beep.
Hmm. They just acclimated. I mean, what's really bad is when your kid has a toy that sounds like that beep that's dying, that chirp,
Yeah.
and then you're just like, okay, I've gone through the whole freaking house, and then it's like something's echoing out of a toy box.
Well, Death Angel, you are free to say whatever you want. We still live in a place where you're supposed to be allowed to do that. But here, I think you're referring to, yeah, I had to replace the alarms because I didn't know that the alarms themselves actually had an expiration date. And it turned out they expired when we bought the house 15 years ago.
Mm.
Live and learn. Yeah, but see, a one always missing. Oh, and then the pluses are meaningless on that one instance. That's kind of not fair, because then that would mean the reverse would be true, and that 20s would always hit. Uh, you know what I mean?
But you could also play that one missing is it like just tinks their armor. Or maybe you're just so tired of killing everybody. It's just like you know. But yeah,
I do use the exhaustion rules,
it's
but as of yet, no one's ever fought a battle long enough to where that Constitution check sort of thing came into play. Because I I don't know, man. It's just I think it would be um, better if the numbers were harder to hit in the middle, if you know what I mean. The like because it's based on a level progression
mhm.
where like if like say first to fourth level or whatever, it's really hard for you to hit like anything, and then in the middle you stretch that out even more. Instead of it being like from 4 to 6, you make it like 4 to 8th or ninth. where they have a longer period of improving their chances to hit. Um, but those things quickly fall off the plantation, if you will, because of the pluses players get.
Yeah.
Finding magic items and things like that. Um, you know, because all it takes is like a pair of ogre gauntlets and even a +2 sword, and suddenly they're getting +5 on all their shots. That's enough to pretty much.
Yeah, a few
Uh,
lucky piece of treasure in it, it'll ramp up really quick.
yep, yep. Which brings me to something else I wanted to talk about.
And then I
Um,
was just gonna say too, with the treasure like that, when you rolled up something, I mean, it's up to you as a DM to decide. But if it randomly, if you're saying I'm going to go with random, and they actually end up with like the gauntlets of ogre strength or ogre power, or they get, a +2 sword, and you're like, oh, you're only first level. If you're going to let the random have it, just let them have toys.
yeah,
It's
I played Arduin and other things where it didn't matter what you had; everything else was so badass that you kind of almost needed all that stuff. But I've been thinking about this for a long time. I absolutely freaking hate +1 swords. When you
oh,
think about what it takes to make one, and the difference between making a +1 sword and a +4 sword, there's almost no difference, according to AD&D. Now, other games may be way different, but the first game that let you do that was AD&D, and you could make a +1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could even potentially make a +6 sword with the same exact magic. Your level might need to be higher, but to get to be able to make a permanent magic item, you had to be like 16 or 18th level to begin with, and by then, when you do the enchant weapon, you could seriously just enchant it up to +4 just as easily as you could a +1. Why wouldn't you? Why would you make a +1 sword when you could make a +4 just as easy?
yeah, you'd be making that in like wizard shop class. Great. Then you,
Right?
but didn't don't you have to cast like permanency and some other stuff? Does permanency drain you? I can't remember.
There's a 5% chance you'll lose a Constitution point.
So that might, like, if you have to do a permanency for each plus, I don't remember the rules. It's been so long since anybody ever even messed with that.
Even if you had to, um, why would you just make a +1 sword? Because the risk is the same, +1 or +4. Maybe you got to roll, 4 times. But okay, I made the +1. Nothing bad happened. Am I going to risk the +2 on a 1 in 20? Yeah. Okay, it's +2. Am I going to take the chance on a +3, 1 in 20? Yeah, because it's still the same odds.
Yeah.
1 in 20 that you might lose a con point. All right. Well, what are the odds that you're going to lose 2 con points? Infinitesimally small. And the more you do that, and even then, okay. So I lost a con point on making this freaking, damn near relic sword for one of my buddies, who now owes me big time. Damn well, it's like, hey, you find any item that gives a stat bonus or a con bonus, I get it. You owe me, sucker. Sure, yeah, no problem. Thanks for the +5 sword that freaking holds 3,000 levels of spells, or whatever
Yeah.
they made. Um, it's just I realized that it was a gaming mechanical thing, so that the DM could hand out something, but then you run around with a +1 sword. As soon as you find the +2, that one gets tossed to the side. You no
Well,
longer care
unless
about.
you play, like you said, certain games where it has to go into the backpack of sword holding, or so you get your
You give it to
spares.
somebody else, but that sword that you would have fought and died for, that +1, now becomes a letter opener, because this shiny +2 came along. Um, I kind of like the way Palladium did it. There were no pluses to hit on their weapons because the pluses were already built into the mechanics of your player character getting points or having high stats, as just a matter of course, so that you never had to worry about handing out plus weapons because they weren't plus. They would do a crap ton of cool stuff, but giving you a plus to hit was not on the menu. Okay, cool. That works. Or just making it what would have been better, I think, is to go in the middle. All magic swords are +3 to hit. That's it. Period. Done deal. But then you would have taken out half the magic items, half the
Yeah,
magical swords out of the list of magical swords in the Dungeon Master's Guide.
yeah.
If you take out +1, 2, and 3, or whatever.
Well,
Yeah, that's a fun concept. Omen, the weapons that grow with the character. Unfortunately, what used to be a unique and custom, personal thing has become like everywhere I go now. That's all there is. It's like that way. Oh, I only have to give them one weapon; it just grows with them. That's kind of dumb because you would still keep finding +1, 2, and 3 swords left and
well,
right. What changed?
unless because I was thinking about this lately, unless something where like in your world you kind of treat it, I mean, like a video game, and then like you get, I don't know, like crystals or something to put into the weapon that power it up.
I did that. I love doing that.
So like like if you find a blue crystal, it's a +1. The red one's a +2, and then it gives the fiery trait, things like that. That
We called them spell swords after a particular set of books. I forget who wrote them,
sounds
where they would
familiar.
have slots. The swords would have slots, and this was back in the early, like this was like '82. I first heard this concept
Mm,
where the pommel, the hilt, and even the blade might have slots, little cubbies to pop in a gem. So your sword was all freaking bedazzled. And you'd go into dungeons looking for the gems, the right kind of gems,
and
or
then
have
that's
them
been
made.
done in. I mean, I've seen it in video games, but then when I see it in video games, like of course most video games are they come from RPGs.
Well, I mean,
Hey,
since we're
what's
speaking
happening?
about this, there's a few different games out there. I mean, I was thinking in particular Earth Dawn, where the player had to invest power into the weapon over time and things like
Hmm.
that, or experience or things like that. And actually, I wouldn't mind that if you said, "Hey, if you want your weapon to go up, you have to invest experience." But you can also find other magic weapons out there. Like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, and then that kind of encourages players to, well, do I want to take an experience hit to get a more powerful magic weapon, or do I want to? And it doesn't mean you can't find legendary weapons either.
Isn't Earth Dawn where they got to build up the threads or the matrices or something in it?
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
I did
Never
not
read
like
it.
the system, but I liked a lot of the ideas that were in there.
I agree with you there. I did like.
I've never read it, and I did drink. I've never played it, read it. I've heard about it, uh, throughout my life, and uh, the first time I heard about it was in reference to the magic carp, where everything is magic, even the carp. Just
Yeah.
everything. You come across a house fly, it's magical. Well, okay, on a metaphysical, philosophical level, yeah, sure, but no. Oh no, we mean it casts lightning bolts or magic missile or something. Like, well,
No, it
I don't
didn't
want to
quite
live in
work
that
like
world.
that. It was more like the, hey, everything has its kind of its own life force. Like I said, it doesn't mean that it's focused or anything else, but there's a lot of religions that have, oh, the mountain has power, stuff like this, and how do you
Yeah,
it's very different. It's like having ley lines. Well, is it a
mm-hmm.
focused of that energy or not, or is it dispersed? And I like I said,
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of ideas out there, a lot of systems that I think do it better. Like I said, I like axe, which is, hey, guess what? You can have a sword, and over time it slowly grows, which actually means that now the players want to say, this was my father's sword. They just don't go, oh, I found a +2 sword, +1 gets thrown in the bag, or here it's just and
Yeah.
I think that was the problem I felt too often is that, or you severely restrict the magic items in your world, and then you're like, okay, that, but but then things don't scale up as well. It's just
Mhm.
interesting.
It is a very fine-tuned balancing act when it comes to players and magic items. Or here's a crazy idea: you could do what I've always done and not give two shits. Let them have whatever the hell I randomly roll up or decide to throw in because that's what the monsters would have, and worry about the consequences. As my son would say, that's future Jack's problem.
Oh yeah. Thanks, Homer. He's like, man, I mixed in, vodka with this, with tobacco sauce, and all this other stuff. It's like, boy, I don't envy that guy. That's future Homer's problem. That's. But that said, is I've also noticed this much is, and again, I like looking at different systems. So when I hear people like, oh, we have too many, I have mind stuff for ideas. This way, Humble Bundle is so great, and Bundle of Holding. Oh, look, I got RuneQuest in $30 for like $15. I don't have to read all of them. I'll just read bits and pieces. But what was the? But like, okay, well, this can grow with you, or you can do this option, or you can do that option. I like the Cipher system, which is they recommend giving a lot of one-shot magic items. Then you don't. As a DM, it's like, oh man, I gave you this thing that was way too powerful, but guess what? It only works once. I don't worry about that.
I have never uttered this is too powerful to my players. There's no
I
such
have.
thing.
Because
No such
it's
thing. I
when it
don't
stops
care.
being fun for me as the DM, and a lot of times the players, it just gets ridiculous at a certain point. Like, yeah, I'm not having fun.
I've found over the years that the most fun as a DM I have is playing the non-player characters. The idea of taking them out, like Matt was suggesting from Barrows and Borderlands, I just let the players do all the everything, and I just arbitrate this and that. I'm like, so you've written yourself out of the game, and you can now be replaced by an algorithm that can just an AI can just sit and listen to the game and interject with rulings that people can ignore because it's just about the players are just role playing amongst themselves, so to speak, deciding what they're going to do and what armies they're going to raise, etc. With no NPCs, it's like that's no fun. I want to play the NPCs. Try to stretch my acting muscles, I guess. Like when I was playing the little kid or the little kids in my Barrows and Borderlands game. Trying to make them feel like little kids that are in danger, need help, blah blah blah, or the sneaky so and so, or the king, or the duke, or the traveling sales monk, or whatever random uh,
Well, I mean, but that comes down to
Monks.
which
that's
I
the
think
fun.
Get out of here with that.
which I think is what a lot of players forget is, oh, all monsters are to be attacked. And no offense, Armstrong, it's kind of pissed me off, just from I mean, from a player, like, oh, okay, but like,
Oh yeah,
hey,
yeah. That beholder would have totally, absolutely, 100% done what he said he was going to do and give you the thing, and had no intention of betraying you whatsoever.
he
It
didn't
was just like
betray
this.
us. I mean, he got attacked. What do you think he's going to do? I mean, that's kind of
No, no,
that.
no. I mean, had that not happened, that
Yes,
beholder would have, because that was what was fun about the encounter, is that I was running a beholder that had evolved past chaotic evil, had been around a long time and figured some shit out. I was like, yeah, maybe I'll just be lawful evil. I'll keep my
that's what
word.
beholders are. Beholders are lawful evil. If you look them in the
I thought they
book,
were chaotic evil. Well,
no,
either
this
way,
is
he
yeah.
would have actually, could have actually been not an ally, but someone you could occasionally get help from, or get
like a
a
like an
weird.
evil mentor.
Well,
Well,
at
I
least
mean, half the players in that game are pretty borderline, anyways.
All
Armstrong,
right.
Jesus
Cool.
Christ.
no. I mean, he like, well, I'm just going to kill it because, and I went, wait,
Take care. Off. I'll see you tonight.
but I mean that's what part of the fun of, that's why dragons talk. You're supposed to sit there and discuss with them. That's the interesting part for in literature. Sometimes, even. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, the dragon talks. Maybe you want to talk to it a couple of times. Maybe you can make a deal. Hey,
Right?
look, you know,
I mean,
Look,
he was literally. What was he going to give you guys?
give you
Holman? What
the
was it?
wish scroll. As soon as he opened up his stash, Armstrong teleported and said, "I'm going to stab it." I was like, you know, it was just
You're right
well.
there,
And actually,
Holman.
the first thing we did is we went open. You're like, you see a beholder. I'm like, I'm going to talk to it. And Shadow was like, what? He didn't quite expect that. I'm like, hey, things.
And from that point on, it was like let's do that. Let's not try to freaking have a beholder throw all of its eyes at the party, including that. I mean, look who ultimately paid for that.
I know he did. He got.
No, Cal.
Oh yeah.
Cal. Well, I don't know what he. Yeah, they both lost a crap ton of magic items from the disenchant ray.
Yes, yes. Well, sure. See, and I don't mind if you're going to give a lot of magic items, as long as I give it and I take it away. If they're breakable and things, it's the. And I think sometimes, and this is where the other part comes into it, players don't mind if there's a lot of magic items and they can get destroyed as long as they're easily replaced. I agree with you about it. To me, the permanency spell is kind of ridiculous on the. I know why he did it, but it was a pain in the butt. It's like, well, why do people do this? And even making them, you just kind of wonder, like, why would I just make a +1 when I'm already like 12th or 14th level and everything's like +3 that we find?
I think it's the make a problem, solve a problem thing in D&D. It's like, here's the magic items. Well, how did they come about? Well, here's how they came about. Then, you got to make another reason, like that there's not a overpopulation of them, but so you make it have, like you said, there's other systems that do it better.
I don't mind if there's rare magic items or things like, not that we do it too much, but there is a saving throw table, which the problem is everyone does like all the time. Like, I have no problems if you, hey, resist against crushing for your magic shield when you fight the giant. That makes sense. The giant smashing against your shield, he could break it. And then, the other part is, and I really wish D&D had a little bit more of this, is sometimes you just don't have to have the super duper +5 magic shield. Sometimes you can just simply say, hey, it's a +2 shield, but it's unbreakable. You're like, oh, cool. I don't have to worry about the
that's 100% better.
But that there are times like,
Well, it'll last longer. When that +5 shield has been, broken, but you got the other guy's like, oh, no, I still got my +2 shield. I'm good.
Well, the other one is, and this is why, again, I don't mind my one's always being automatic misses and 20's being automatic hits. That's critical enough for me. After that, you could, because that discourages certain players, like, oh, they only need, they can't hit me. I'm just going to charge into a hail of arrows. Well, look, you're fighting 200 goblins. You're probably going to hit like a few times. Like, oh, okay. Well, maybe I don't want to take 30 points of damage. Like, okay.
Yeah, maybe every one of those goblins has been equipped with a +1 bow and a half a dozen +1 arrows.
Well, I don't like doing that to give them all the magic, but you still, if you're going to charge into a hail of arrows, yeah, you're okay. I'm going to take the brunt, but even a 10th level fighter, if you assume that he's still going to get hit on 20s, if he charges into a unit of archers, he's going to get skewered a couple of times. Yeah, it's not going to take it down, but you can get worn out. And that's 20, 30 hit points. That adds up.
Yeah,
absolutely does.
You could resolve it with not making 100 hit rolls with the 100 goblins. You could just say make a save versus breath, or just you take X number of hits.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's so much more intimidating when you pull out the bag of 20-sided dice and go, okay, I'm rolling to hit.
Well, this is one of the reasons I like Foundry, because I did roll a battle of 200 versus 200, and I rolled every hit and attack, because I did /R like 20 D20s, and I just counted real quick. Okay, and it got interesting. You really do see the effects of just regular armor and shields and how it does skew things very quickly. Yeah, well, I mean, AD&D has that. It does, but I think the problem is that, and I think you mentioned this too, the DMs use it like every combat, rather than, hey, you're fighting a special monster that can do it.
Yeah, it's not every combat. It because it literally, like I said with my bastard sword here, I can take it outside and swing it as hard as I can or give it to Lou Ferrigno and say, okay, here's some goggles. Here's some padded, armor in case it does, you know, break or something. Take this sword and swing it at that telephone pole that's made out of concrete.
Okay. Oh yeah.
No, it's not going to break.
It
It's
will
not.
eventually, but
Yeah.
but let's be honest. If you're an experienced swordsman, you're not trying to swing it at concrete. It's
Well, no, I mean like the stone golem.
Unless you're fighting
Yeah.
elementals.
well, and I'd be okay if he's using a stone golem, but it should take time. It should not be like
Well,
the
yeah,
first hit.
but the GMs out there that use those rules would say,
Yes.
well, it has. This is that time. You've swung it, 15 times in my campaign, and this is the one time that we're going to roll, or that you rolled a 1, therefore this is the time that it fails.
But no. But again, it's supposed to still get a saving throw, and I'm okay with that if it happens
Oh
infrequently.
no, you rolled a 1, therefore something bad has to happen.
Well, again, I'm okay if you said you rolled a 1, but this only happens like once every 2 or 3 sessions because you're fighting against like a crystal golem or something. I'm okay with it on a few times, but I don't want it like every time you're rolling in combat. Guess what? You're fighting goblins. It's going to break at some point. Like no, it just gets too excessive.
Your +5 Holy Avenger just explodes when it hits a goblin because you botched. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. That's
retarded.
not what I mean by that. Again, I don't mind if you're saying, hey, you're fighting an iron golem or a steel golem. Okay. Yeah, you're going to be
Yeah, it's
laughing at
funny
it.
how the item saving throw gets thrown out because of the magical 1.
Yeah. Well, that's why you need to put the master in dungeon master.
Yes.
Be in charge.
And it's very different if you say, hey, I'm using my old rusted sword. Yeah, if you're using an old rusty sword, then yeah, I can understand it might break. It's but yeah, you're right. On a new sword, you might chip it a bit, you might do some other stuff, but it should not be against normal.
Yeah, it does.
combat.
It does -1 damage, but next time -2 damage.
And see, I actually prefer that. And guess what? It completely breaks when your damage goes to 0 for whatever the die roll is.
Right? Hey, there's a novel idea. Make math count again.
Mm.
Then
I
it
know,
gives
I
a
know,
two-handed
I know.
sword. Well,
Math is
two-handed sword's
racist. I know. What was I
nice.
thinking? Forgive me, gods of the internet. I forgot. Math is racist.
You don't know. That's only if you work at the Smithsonian.
Is that a real thing? Probably, yeah, that probably is.
I've you know what? At certain points, people were trying to say everything because why it got them clickbait, and they didn't have to really think about anything they were writing. And then near the end, they started using AI to write because I could tell because they'd never read the topic, and and then they're like, "Why did I lose my job?" I'm like, "Because you're supposed to work 40 hours a week if you're going to be a news reporter, and if it takes me 5 minutes to find out that you're full of crap."
Yeah.
No wonder no one's trusting you anymore.
Anymore.
That was
Well,
really.
I mean, let's be honest. Before, in the 1800s, there was yellow journalism, and they used to have 2 or 3 newspapers. That'd be one newspaper that was against something, and another newspaper that was for something. They're like, okay, I'm going to buy whichever newspaper agrees with my outlook. That was fine. We used to call it was this idea sometime in the 1930s or so, where journalists were supposed to be impartial rather than the yellow journalism like they used to be, where it was, it was completely biased, but then they said, oh, we'll just pretend we're not biased.
I mean, that's kind of why they got constitutional protection, for that freedom of press and such, but
Yeah, good point.
everybody has that. Hey, have you actually got to run ACK Axe yet?
I have. I'm in an X game we ran it for a little over a year, and I really enjoyed the system. The problem is that just the timing, players got out, and then there was a personal conflict where they all started arguing, and I don't like these players. Then we just kind of whittled down to the 3 of us, and honestly, I really do. To be fair, I like 4 players. I will play with 3 players, but I would like the X system. It's basically BX. It takes all my complaints that I've had.
I have the original book, then I backed the Kickstarter, but I haven't got to play it yet.
Okay.
I
have a friend. So
Go
one of
ahead.
the guys I
Sorry.
played with, he still does BX, but you know what? Every time he has a question about BX, well, how do I do this? He pulls out the Axe book just as a reference.
It has a lot of very good systems. That, I mean,
So for
it's a
me,
world building thing. I think I like it.
that's I think part of me whenever, and we talk about all the different systems out there, even if the system gets very clunky and things, I can still mine it for ideas. I think, again, we all joke about things, but most of us play a combination of AD&D and BX. And we did as kids, we still do it now. Even I joke with Shadow, who's not playing real AD&D. Well, it's because it's very mechanical and it does slow down the game a bit, and it's not necessarily any more fun. I have Rollmaster, which I just bought. I like it, but I'll tell you this much: I would never play it at a table unless I bought the Foundry modules too, unless I was running Foundry with it to do a lot of the automation, because players will be flipping back and forth through everything. The DM will be it'll slow things down too much. But it doesn't mean I can't like the system for it.
Yeah. I played on the MERP version of Rollmaster,
Yes.
where it's cut down and weird, and I liked some of the things, ideas, but it had, it's just, I thought it was a little clunky, but that was decades ago.
Well, the same group that I do, they do a MERP game, with the Old Geek, but we also do a BX game. They do a BX game, and part of the reason I guess I like Axe so much is I can feel. And I like the Treasure Tome, which is coming out, which I've had the PDF. I should begin the physical book within the next 1 or 2 months. I think it's shipping is what it's doing. It should arrive. I think it should arrive this month, and they'll probably go out next month when they actually do the delivery. But man, it's like, oh, well, here you can get weapons that grow. You can get empathetic weapons. You can get weapons that are, they have certain desires. They can start morphing, and so now the weapons get their own experience points. And so as you begin to kill certain things, they'll grow in experience. So it goes from, you just have the, such and such sword to, what is it, Glamdring and Orc Crest. Hey, these were against fighting orcs because that's all you've been fighting with it. And that's what's been blooded on. And now it's morphed that way. So I love the ideas for out there. But again, as a DM, I like the idea of throwing magic items that are disposable, just because then you don't worry about it. Guess what? And the stuff that, to be fair to Armstrong has done the craziest stuff with one-use items. His potion of love or whatever, which oh my god, he does. That was hilarious. Good for him, and I was like,
he's a great guy. Everybody should go check out his channel, Mad Eye Miniatures. He's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. The biggest sweetheart you'll ever meet. Who is the absolute master of crafts, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to Hot Wheels and clothespins. Yeah,
he does, but just the stuff and I think that's where the fun really comes in to me as a DM. It's not the stuff that the players do. That's why a lot of things like, I get plus this, plus that's boring. What I like to see is what crazy ideas are you going to come up with the stuff I've given that completely blows up everything, and you just have to laugh. You're like, good job. You just have to clap and say, you won.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Because it's not like I was saying earlier. It doesn't, if people break my stuff or I give them too much stuff and they, walk through my wall of monsters, I don't care. That's just what was there. I'm not going to take it personally. Oh no, I crafted this perfect monster and you one-shotted him. Oh no, never happened.
Well, I'm going to mention to me a lot of times
because I don't spend that much time on the monsters. I'm not going to go in and spend hours and hours crafting the perfect monster. Now I will spend time crafting NPCs, or my favorite, which I rarely use anymore, is the army or squad, I should say, of opposed adventurers. Like your diametrically opposed adventure team that's been turned into a hit squad and been hired to kill you guys.
Like the group you pass in the hallway that's exact mirrors of your characters.
Actually, you know what? Is I know Alexander McCrease, he does the one that does acts. If the players took too long to help clear out a dungeon, you go in, you pull out. Sometimes they'd come back and says, "Wait a minute, the dungeon's been cleared," and then they'd find marks of like the Grey Brotherhood has been here. They're like, "Those son of a bitch!" And
makes
what
the
you
world
do is you make
alive.
them like the good guys that they really hate because they're doing, but they are not evil. They're just like, hey,
Right. I was literally working on a squad that had a paladin, a lawful good monk, just like the goodest of the good to go after this group. Not going to say who, as bounty hunters because of something that the group had done that was, caused somebody else to be very upset enough to put a bounty on their heads. Uh, that shit's awesome.
Well,
That's that's
no. What I'm saying is that they're the goodest of the good, up to the point the players hate them because they're so saccharine. Like they get all the accolades, they get all the cheers, and you're just like, but we did like 50% of the work. Like, yeah, but you didn't finish it. You didn't get the big bad guy in
and that's
time.
why they're led by a paladin.
And they're like,
Really
yeah, but
rub it
I don't
in.
mean that they're going after the players. It's quite the opposite, which is, hey, we're just wandering around now that they just have this hatred of this group because they hey, how you doing? Or sometimes like if the players are really, getting swamped, you can bring these other characters in. They kick ass and like, hey, all right, you guys, good job, thanks. You did most of the work for us, but we knew you need a little help. It's like, but we had this. Sure, that's nice. You pet them on the head. Here's some candy, boys, and then they walk off.
Oh, that's really good. That's really good, Owen.
Ruffle
That's
their
fun.
hair, yeah. Good job.
Well,
thanks.
yeah, exactly.
Good job, kid.
Yeah,
Tussle his hair, whatever it goes. Good job, kid. We'll see you around.
If you need some retainers, we'll look you up.
And as they're leaving, one of them strips off his jersey and throws it at you. Here you go, kid.
Well, you know what? Thanks for that potion of healing. Here's my jersey. Yeah, like the old folk, thing.
Hey guys, it's that time. I got to run. Right. I've got a busy Friday. The wife took the day off, so suddenly my honeydew list starts 24 hours early. Normally, Omen, we just do it for an hour. But you showed up. I'm not going to cut you off like
you can. It never hurts my feelings. I knew I was coming near the end because I woke up.
We go back a long ways, so, and I know you like to talk, and I like talking to you. You always bring up some freaking great stuff. But I'm going to see.
Hey, Mike, one question. Hey, Mike, is that from Gods of the Forbidden North, that map behind your right shoulder?
Yes.
Okay, just cool. I haven't met you before, Mike, so I was just curious. So anyway,
one of the other things that I'd like to play or run sometime.
Yeah, I'd like to do that too at some point, especially when I get those big, thick volumes. Boy, that's gonna be scary. Well, they're gonna be as thick as the Axe books, I assume.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, no, Shadow. I know it was only an hour. I just popped in because you were talking about magic items. Well, there are other systems out there, and I think DMs should steal religiously from every system you can.
No,
find.
absolutely. That's why we do these shows, is so that GMs can, find new places to steal stuff from. They might not have thought of or heard of. One of these days, I'm actually going to buy Earth Dawn and see what it has. Max, cheers.
This is why my view on this is I like getting PDFs. If I like what I read, then I buy the physical book.
And I think I have a couple copies of the first edition of Earth Dawn or second edition. So if I dig them out, you can have it. Shadow.
Whoa.
This is why the trope got me to buy so many books.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I said I think I have in a box a couple of copies of the first or second edition of Earth Dawn. If you just want to read it for info, if I dig it out and find it, you can just have it.
Thanks, man.
It's not doing me any good.
Remodeling the house and whatnot. I've come across a lot of things that I did not know I had and still don't want now that I know that I have them. The pile for the giveaway has gotten bigger. Just saying. I got some stuff here I got to take down to that pile. Quick reminder before we leave: April 25th is the giveaway sometime between 5 and 7 on Saturday night. All the guys will be here giving away stuff, and hope to see you guys there. But if you didn't qualify, stick around because there will be an after party giveaway. So,
All right, well, happy Easter.
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's right. This is Sunday.
It's next Sunday. Darn it. No, I have to figure out when my mother speaks. She's Orthodox.
I thought it was this Sunday.
No, yes, if you're Catholic, Orthodox is like a week or two later. That's why I'm joking about it. My mother's Orthodox. My father's Catholic, so
yeah. I had bacon this morning. Lent's over, man. So.
No, it's not. You're on Good Friday. He's gonna be like the rapture, and everyone's gonna be, and he's gonna be like left at home all by himself
with all the bacon.
His boy go up. Actually,
I'll take the good with the bad. Just hope the refrigeration doesn't run out.
yeah.
All right, gents. I will see you later tonight, tomorrow, or Sunday. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Have
Happy
fun.
trails.